I'm Chloe. I'm Partner Delivery Manager at Crowdfunder, so I look after our extra funding partners. Extra funding is what it says on the tin. It's additional funding coming from corporates, from local authorities, from all different types of partners that we work with, that channels into our amazing projects on Crowdfunder. By incentivising the crowd through extra funding, projects can raise more. They can build partnerships with organisations that perhaps they wouldn't have been able to get in touch with previously.
How can people access this extra funding? What do they need to do?
It's super easy. So all they need to do is set up a crowdfunding project. Through that process, you'll be matched with all sorts of different extra funding partners depending on where you are and what your project's aiming to do. So, for example, if you're based in Cornwall, we work with Cornwall Council. So you're probably going to get matched with those guys, but maybe also some of our corporate partners like Aviva or British Airways. If your project's sporty, maybe you'll be matched with Sport England. It'll be matched as you go along, and then you'll be prompted to apply through a really simple application form, all on the crowdfunding platform.
And what are your tips for people if they're setting up their project, like I am? I'm setting up our project, Crowdfunder, at the moment for Secondhand Sundays. What would you say to people, or what would you say to me, who now looks at 6 of these partners? Do I apply for one? Do I apply for them all? How do I figure out which is best suited?
So definitely have a look at all of them. Go on to, each of them will have their own page and eligibility criteria. So have a read through those and pick out the ones that you feel that you might be eligible for. There's nothing stopping you in applying for all of them if you are, so definitely do that. And when you're applying, you will have had your public profile hat on when creating your project page. That's where you're talking to your crowd. But now you're talking to funders. So think about what that funder is trying to achieve with their fund. What's their fund all about, and how does your project meet that eligibility criteria? By thinking about it from that point of view, you're talking to the right person, i.e. the person that's going to be reading your application and making that decision on whether or not they want to fund you. Your page needs to reflect your application form. So if you're writing an application form and the partner goes on to look at your crowdfunding page and it doesn't align, chances are you're not going to get any extra funding. But provided you've got a coherent story on your project page that aligns with what you're talking about in your application form, that's what we're really looking for. Our extra funding partners want you to run the best crowdfunding page that you possibly can to raise as much money, and they're there to help you. The extra funding will help incentivize the crowd as well. So it all needs to align really nicely, and inevitably as you're creating your page and your application form, you'll be writing things and think, oh, I should definitely put that in my application form, or I should definitely put that on my project page, and it'll help its way along. It's not the same as a grant application. It's not a long, lengthy process. It's quick, it's easy. You'll be prompted if your project page is matched with an extra funding partner, and therefore chances are you might well be eligible for something. So just pop an application in. Worst case scenario, you'll get an email saying, I'm sorry, on this occasion we're not going to support you. And best case, you can get thousands of pounds of extra funding. I always recommend applying as early as possible so that you can factor it into your crowdfunding campaign as well. If you've got live match funding, i.e. the partner is matching pound for pound in front of your eyes, you want that to start at the very beginning. And it's a real incentive to your crowd as well. It will really help motivate them to donate a little bit more because they see it double in front of their eyes, and maybe donate again. So we've got loads of resources available to help you on your journey, from webinars to Q&A sessions where you can speak to an expert. And we've got our help team always on hand to support you, and you can contact them on support@crowdfunder.co.uk.